She's the most special inmate in this winner's prison. While everyone else is gossiping, she spends her days doing push-ups and working out. Even when she's working, she takes the opportunity to practice her arm strength. She keeps running in the rain. The reason Libby works so hard is not to escape from prison. It's because she has a vengeful rage inside her. A few months ago, Libby and her husband were on a cruise ship vacation. But on the second day, her husband disappeared in a strange way, leaving behind only a huge insurance policy. Libby, a beneficiary, was convicted in court of killing her husband and defrauding him of his insurance. Libby was sent to women's prison. Her husband Nick and her friend Angie set her up. They changed their names and lived happily in another city. They thought Libby would go to jail for life, but 6 years later, Libby was released on parole for good behavior. She was paroled from prison. As Libby was leaving, her lawyer cellmate told her, "You've been convicted of killing your husband anyway, so even if you did kill him, the judge can't do anything about it." Her cellmate's words snapped Libby out of it. Libby got out of prison and searched everywhere for Nick and Angie. She snuck into the school where Angie taught in the dark. Libby wrapped her clothes around her arm. Then she broke the glass door and window with her arm. In the darkness, she searched everywhere. Finally, she found the locker with the files. But then the security guard downstairs noticed the anomaly. When Libby opened the box to get the files, the security guard outside the door came after her. Libby quickly made her way to the window. She pulled open the curtain and flipped out. Then Libby fled along the roof. The security guard behind her must not be exercising. He fell on his butt and almost fell off the building, and Libby jumped straight down to the ground. At that moment, another security guard came after him from downstairs. The agile Libby jumped over the barbed wire fence. She managed to lose the security guard behind her. Libby crossed the hill to a sandy area, but the two guards behind her kept chasing her. Libby was too slow to outrun the car. She hid under a small pit. The car drove right at Libby, but the car overturned and went down the hill. The car rolled in the sand several times before stopping. They quickly climbed out of the car and chased Libby. There were so many of them, so Libby was surrounded by them. They pinned Libby to the ground. Libby held her arms tightly against her chest, but she was forcibly flipped over by the security guards. So Libby was once again handcuffed. Police officers Rudy prepares to take Libby to jail again. He pulled into the freighter. Then he handcuffed Libby's hands to the door handle while he went upstairs to get a cup of coffee. Libby's revenge was still fresh. She is not giving up easily, but she was handcuffed to the car. That's when Libby saw that the keys to the car were unplugged, and there was a fire hydrant right outside the door. Libby seems to have found a way to escape. She drives the car and puts it in reverse gear. Libby stomped on the gas, but she brushes against the hydrant. Once she fails, she does it again, but this time, she can't stop the car. The little rat car in front of her was hit by her car and fell into the sea. Libby was stunned, but she kept banging on the door handle. The handcuffs were about to be smashed. Upstairs, Rudy noticed the anomaly. Hearing footsteps, Libby turned around and saw Rudy. She immediately locked the car door with her foot. She then continued to struggle to escape. Rudy smashed the glass. Libby immediately stepped on the gas, and Rudy also jumped on the car. Finally, the car went straight into the sea. The seawater quickly poured in. The car was slowly sinking into the sea. Rudy had no choice but to uncuff Libby, and Libby took advantage of the opportunity to take Rudy's pistol. They were moving upstream quickly. They were still fighting when they came to the surface. The seawater kept pouring into their mouths. Libby was about to swim away when Rudy grabbed her by the hair. She turns around and slams the gun into Rudy. At this point, Libby couldn't care less. She turned around and dove into the water. Now all she can think about is revenge. Libby didn't want to go back to prison. She put the gun on her stomach and swam quickly to shore. By the time she reached the shore, Rudy was also rescued by lifeguards. Libby escaped in a van all the way to her family's home in the country. Without saying a word, her elderly mother went to the vegetable patch and dug up years of savings. Her mother told Libby to take the money and do what she hadn't done. The mother in the orchard wearing a hat with a simple and sweet smile. This smile means everything, and this is the unconditional trust that a mother has in her daughter. Libby drove a pickup truck and set out on a mission of revenge. She goes to a Ford store and pretends to buy a nice car. Then, she gave Angie's social security number from her file. After successfully obtaining Angie's address, she turned around and left. Libby arrives at Angie's door. She took the gun out of her bag and checked it. Her time for revenge was coming. When Libby got to the door, she found it closed. The old woman in the neighborhood told her Angie had died of a gas leak 3 years earlier. Libby was stunned. She started looking through news articles from 3 years ago to try to find some clues. Sure enough, she found the problem in a photo of Angie. It was Libby's husband's favorite painting. so she found the gallery. She was checking the computer with the owner. Suddenly, police officers Rudy came along with the clues. Libby took advantage of the owner's presence to open the door. She wrote down the address and drove away quickly. At that moment, Rudy quickly ran out of the gallery to chase her. Libby drove all the way to the car. She ignored all obstacles. Libby crashed the phone booth far away. As the police investigated further, Rudy had begun to believe Libby had been wrongly accused. But Libby didn't believe Rudy at all. When Libby found out where her husband was now, she puts on a fancy dress and goes to her husband's party. However, her former husband Nick is now very famous. No one knows he made it by framing his wife. The moment Nick saw Libby, his face immediately changed. Nick could never have imagined his wife, who was supposed to be in prison, would be here. He told Libby not to talk to anyone. Then the guest who greeted Libby. She says she's never seen Libby before. Libby says she's Nick's wife. They all said in disbelief that a minute ago Nick was a bachelor, but now he's married. Nick hypocritically told her Angie was the one who hit on him first, but Libby won't believe him anymore. Libby threatened him. She had to see her son tomorrow, or they'd have to meet in court. The next day, Libby called Nick from a payphone. Libby told him to bring her son and meet him at the public cemetery because there was a funeral service going on, so they could blend in with the crowd. That way Nick wouldn't dare harm anyone. When Libby saw her son appear, she went after him, and her son turned around and left. Libby looked around for her son, but this was her husband's plot. Her so-called son was an actor he'd hired. Suddenly, Nick appeared from behind her. Nick pushes her against a stone pole and knocks her out. Libby wakes up in the dark. She found herself lying in a coffin. She's been sealed on all sides. A deranged husband is trying to suffocate his wife in a coffin. Libby used her lighter to see that there was a corpse lying beneath her. She was so scared that she was shaking. Libby couldn't push the coffin board with all her strength. She calmed down. Suddenly, Libby remembers that she has a gun with her. Libby took the gun out of her pants pocket, found the right spot, and shot a hole. Then she fires another shot. The clasp of the coffin was broken. Libby flipped open the coffin panel. She jumped out of the coffin in a hurry, but the door was locked from the outside by Nick. Libby had to break the window to get out. A dirty Libby walks down the street. Her eyes were still so determined. Then Rudy suddenly dragged her to the corner. Libby instantly burst into tears. Rudy took her into his arms. No one knew what she had just been through. Who would have believed she had such a vicious husband? Her husband had put her in a coffin and smothered her to death. Rudy felt compassion for the woman in front of him. Rudy finds Libby's husband, Nick. He uncovered the entire incident where Nick faked his death to frame his wife. However, Nick was very calm. He said he would give Rudy $1 million to keep his mouth shut. Rudy pretended to take the bribe. Then he asks Nick, "What about your wife?" Nick proudly said to Rudy, "She's gone from this world." And then Libby opens the door and walks in. She pulls a pistol from her waist and points it at Nick. She forced Nick to sit on the stool. If Libby shot the scumbag, it wouldn't be a good deal. And Rudy called the police before he got here. What Nick had just said had been recorded by Rudy. Nick had framed Libby for her husband's murder. So now Libby is framing Nick for his wife's murder. She wants Nick to feel what she's going through. She wants Nick to be in prison for life. However, Nick took advantage of the fact that the two men had let their guard down. He suddenly pulled out a gun from under the table and shot Rudy, who was standing up. Nick then walks over and points the gun at Libby. As he was about to shoot, Rudy goes up and tackles him to the ground. But it's clear that the wounded Rudy is no match for Nick. Nick kept punching Rudy's wound. While Nick was pointing his gun at Rudy, a shot rings out. Nick fell on the mirror. This time, Libby did not give up. She shot Nick twice and killed the scum. All love and hate was over. Libby got her just deserts because she acted in self-defense this time. So she's not going to jail this time. Now she can finally go see her son. Libby hadn't seen him in 6 years. It was torture for a mother. Libby came to her son's school, even though she hadn't seen him in 6 years. But she recognized her son right away. The boy turned his head when he heard his name being called. From hesitation to determination, the boy slowly walked up to Libby. Libby asked him, "Do you know who I am?" The son said that people said his mother was dead. Libby laughed out loud when she heard it. Then the boy, who missed his mother every day, shed tears. They hugged each other tightly. Mother and son were finally together. No one will ever be able to separate them again. This is a strong mother. She won back her innocence and freedom and the justice that was long overdue.